Hi, everybody. Welcome to Lillian Live in New York City. Thanks for tuning in. We have another great episode tonight where there's always something to learn and to pick up on WWTV. So tonight we have Staying Healthy, Many Pieces to the Puzzle. And we're going to discuss the main components, those pieces of the puzzle, to help promote health and wellness, especially immune function. We have with us Dr. Judith Smith, Associate Professor and Director for the Women's Health Integrative Medicine Research Program at University of Texas Health McGovern Medical School. She is going to share her recommendations for health and wellness, including the balance between healthy diet, exercise, adequate sleep, and integrating nutritional supplements and vitamins. And she's also going to address specific supplements to help support the immune system for maintaining health and wellness. And I also want to say that I am a colleague and friend of Dr. Smith, and she is just a wealth of information, humble at that. And I'm very excited to have her here. So everyone, make sure you share on all your social media platforms, WWTV. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Dr. Judith Smith. Hi, Dr. Smith. How are you?
Good, Lillian. It's so good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to see you always. And thank you for agreeing to come on. I know you're really busy. You're out in Texas. And, I know there's a lot going on over there. So I appreciate you, coming on today. How did you get started in what you do?
So, just to kind of give you a little bit of background, I am an oncology clinical pharmacist by training, and actually originally from New York, and migrated here to the South about 20 years ago through my residency and fellowship training. And working in oncology, I really started to think about more treating the disease and to shift to cancer prevention, and how we're not really winning the battle against curing all the cancers. And so I really started to focus on ways to live healthier and be healthier to help with cancer prevention. And that led to just overall wellness, and really have focused in our research in taking an integrative approach to health and wellness. In my practice and in the community, I really try to promote opportunities. It's like putting the puzzle together so that everyone can live healthier and hopefully longer lives as well.
Wow, it's really interesting because most people who have cancer, and a lot of people go through the traditional route. Not saying not to do that, but it's also great to have a complementary, integrative approach as well. I know I had cancer a couple of years ago, and I did the traditional chemo radiation, but I also did integrate a few other, components, especially after with certain supplementations, which I think you're going to talk about later. So is either diet, sleep, nutrition, and supplementation, are either any of those more important than the other, and why?
So this is really where I was getting to. It's a puzzle because every body is unique, and what is important for my health and wellness and my physiology, or like what keeps me at a healthy weight and well rested and performing the best, is going to be different for you and for definitely men as well. And so it's figuring out that piece of the puzzle that works best for you. And often I find we focus a lot on exercise and healthy diet, which are absolutely important, and don't recognize the importance and value of sleep. Sleep deprivation contributes to obesity. It contributes to lack of mental focus, and mood changes and irritability. So there's a lot that that lack of sleep can do to. But I find like most women especially really struggle with being at that ideal weight that they want to be at. And often when they're eating right, exercising, they're like, why am I not losing the weight? Often I find that they're multitasking maybe a little bit too much, trying to juggle too many balls, and cutting back on sleep to have more hours in their day to get everything done. And often that's a really important part of disease prevention too, because we have seen that sleep deprivation also increases your cardiovascular risk, your cancer risk, health, definitely mental health as well. So, and then nutritional supplements are some of the best kept secrets out there. Not, that everyone is as familiar with what supplements to take, when to take them, how, necessary. Taking everything is not necessary, but really focusing in on the ones that are going to help you the most based on your physiology and what your goals are for staying healthy.
Yeah, and well, back to the sleep, I completely understand what you're talking about. Even for myself, I know that I am a big multitasker, and just this past weekend, I was visiting friends outside of New York City, and I was relaxed, and I sat on the couch to watch a movie at 8:30 p.m., and I was falling asleep by 9. I never do that. I'm up a second, third wind at midnight till 4 a.m. So I know that definitely has an effect. Because when you sleep, in a way, doesn't it cleanse you? It sort of.
So during sleep is when the time when our body cells repair. So
Right.
All that cell repair and replenishing is also when your brain kind of diffuses from the day. So all the emotions, all those electronic signals that are going on in our brain all day kind of diffuse during the night as well. But it's really that there's a process in our body. It's called silent inflammation. Can't see it, can't feel it. But that silent inflammation will increase when you have more cellular repair and fatigue. And so that's why you want to not only get adequate sleep, but that's where nutritional supplements can also come in to help reduce silent inflammation. That can decrease your cardiovascular risk, your cancer risk, as well as obesity. So.
And with supplements, how there's so many out there, and in so many different places, from your supermarket to to the small stores. How do you I'd love to find out how supplementation helps the immune system, but also how does one decide on which brands to even use?
Yeah, so you really have to do your homework, and that's like the key thing is that you don't want to just go randomly buy whatever's on sale. It doesn't usually not a good approach. You have to really read labels. It's or do your research on the internet before you can. And you want to look for manufacturers that are hopefully using science behind their products, that have people like myself or other advisory boards that are giving them guidance on their product development or what products to take, and really look to make sure they're following, we call GMP, it's good manufacturing practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to know they have some kind of quality assurance from lot to lot that you're going to get the same product every time you order it. Mm-hmm. There are some very good reputable companies out there, and then there's ones that cut corners, and so you want to make sure you weed through those and find a reliable distributor. Sometimes that may be more readily accessed online through the company website. If the company directs you to Amazon, then you can use your Amazon Prime and go that way. I caution there are a lot of fake vendors on Amazon too, so you just have to make sure you're vetting the source. I always go back to the primary manufacturer's page, and if they direct me to Amazon, then you can go there. But otherwise, I try to, when it comes to nutritional supplements, because you don't want impurities in your products, you don't want them being shipped in from somewhere else. And the United States does have a little bit higher standards on the quality measures that manufacturers have to follow now, and those rules changed about in 2008. So you know, a lot of products may only be available on the internet now because they can't actually sell in stores, or they're coming from outside the US. So just make sure you go back to the manufacturer page, find out where they're coming from, make sure it's a good quality product. Look for some science behind the product, and make sure you're not being smoke and mirrors kind of thing and told one thing and don't have any data to support their claims.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's so interesting. And what about the vitamins? I've heard a lot about sometimes they're not being absorbed. Like there's also that, right?
Right. You have to worry about, I mean, unfortunately, not everyone is going to have their pocket pharmacist in there that they can call and say, how do I take this? But most, and not, I can't guarantee every pharmacist is going to be able to help you, but you should be able to reach out to someone. I know you're going to give them my email later.
Yep.
But yeah, some products are better absorbed with food. Things like omega-3s, your multivitamin, better absorbed with food, depending on the type of calcium you get. One calcium citrate is better on an empty stomach, where calcium carbonate is better on with food. So then you have to really read those labels, like what type of calcium am I taking? I recommend calcium citrate, but either way, whichever product you're taking. And then probiotics, really popular these days. Great nutritional supplement that I encourage. However, you got to get the right probiotic. And so really paying attention to what's in the probiotic, where are they, how it was prepared. It's not a tablet, but it's actually a capsule. So it's been freeze dried and it will still be active. And those probiotics are better on an empty stomach. So it is actually something I'm working on, trying to figure out a good platform to make sure that people can just Google it kind of thing and just be able to, like, how do I take this supplement? And we'll be able to provide that as free information and reliable information for people to know this is how I take the supplement. And because that is important, because you want to make sure you're taking it correctly or you won't get the benefits.
Yeah, and it's almost like you have to be an encyclopedia or something to know, because there are so many. And you're right, some you take with food, some you don't. Which supplements would you recommend and why?
So they're for a general nutritional foundation, you know, and I was just, you know, reading a paper earlier today, and there are some controversies. I think for every positive, there's a negative study. So I think in the nutritional industry in general, it's hard to do the right study that's long-term enough to really show the benefits of the nutritional foundation. But most of us don't get adequate vitamins and minerals in our diet. So a good multivitamin.
Okay.
Not necessarily loaded with a lot of other supplements within it, so that you can then personalize your regimen.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. We know you're very popular.
So you want to just like get your regular multivitamin. Most women and even men today, because of the sedentary lifestyle, unfortunately, that has kind of come along with the virtual world, which is probably even more real today and than it has been. Our bone health is really waning, and so a good calcium supplement with vitamin D and zinc and magnesium, because those minerals help with the bone absorption. So taking a really good calcium supplementation, the probiotics. I am a big fan of omega-3 supplementation, a fish oil, whether it's krill oil or an omega-3 directly, that really helps from head to toe with, can help with neuroprotection, cardiovascular health, which I know is a little bit controversial, but no, it can lower your lipid profile, helps with that silent inflammation we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. Can help women with hot flashes. So that's really a good nutritional way to help with hot flash management. And we can talk more with some other things we add to that. And then, you know, especially right now with all of the concerns about infections, especially from the coronavirus, really supporting your immune system, a vitamin C supplement, and then looking to what other agents that are out there. And the key thing is to remember that you don't want to take every single immune support product that's on the market because then you'll probably overstimulate your immune system and run into problems. So I have done a lot of research with a product called AHCC that supports the immune system, and it modulates the immune system and has had benefits in health and wellness as general immune support. And then we've worked in research and actually doing additional studies and showing how it can support the immune system to help clear chronic infections like HPV.
Yes, that's, yeah, I myself take AHCC, and I think it's really terrific, and I've recommended it to many people. As a matter of fact, I have a friend that has, I guess she has some type of autoimmune issues. She had psoriasis and some other issues, and she started taking it, and she called me and said, I don't know what's happening, but my psoriasis is gone.
Wow, that's an incredible story. Yeah, no, the nice thing about AHCC is that it modulates the immune system, so it's not like some supplements out there are stimulants and can, in an autoimmune condition, might actually lead to problems. But the fact that it's unique in its extract that isolates the alpha-glucan, which is probably getting a little too scientific, but it's a unique than other mushroom extracts. Not every nutritional supplement's the same, and I think my research, I found people get confused and like all mushroom extracts would have the same benefits on the immune system. But the alpha-glucan tends to be more immune modulating, which helps in clearing chronic infections with autoimmune diseases and general immune support. And so that's, that's something that's really important these days as we all try to fight off getting exposed to chronic viruses.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Now, oh, and I know also it has like NK cells, those natural killer cells, right?
Yeah.
What is
the NK cells? That is something that where the immune modulating benefits we have found it's more focused in humans, at least, to be a little bit more of immune modulating on interferon beta, interferon gamma, and the cytotoxic T cells, which clear viral infections. Some of the NK data that you're probably familiar with HCC is more animal derived and have really translated to humans.
Wow. Now, what
cytotoxic T cells and interferon gamma are excellent components of our immune system to fight infection.
So what happens when someone says, "Oh, well, I get all my vitamins through my food"? What do you think of that?
No, that is, I mean, food is important. I'm not suggesting not to a well-balanced diet, heavy with fruits and vegetables is definitely encouraged these days, less processed food. But even despite that, especially in these times as we move on, the soil today doesn't have the nutrients and minerals that it had even 50 years ago or 100 years ago. And our physiological stress levels today are much higher than they ever have been historically. A lot of times when you look on nutritional bottles or even on your foods and it says, RDA, which stands for recommended daily allowance, those RDA values haven't been updated since the early 1970s or 60s. It's been decades.
Wow.
So, and I don't think anyone wants to spend the time and energy. It's not a high priority. They just kind of have stuck with those RDAs and never really readdressed it. But I think all of us can attest that life today is far more stressful for so many reasons, of whether it's the full spectrum of things that contribute to whether you feel physically stressed or mentally stressed or just physiologically stressed. I think that our nutritional requirements are higher today than they've ever been before.
Yeah, oh, that makes sense. And is there a difference between taking powder supplements versus capsules?
It depends on the supplement. I mean, that's a little broad to make a sweeping, like, it would depend on the product, and I would have to really evaluate products individually to say, oh, this is appropriate. Now, something like an omega-3 as a powder, I'd really question. It's not water soluble, so I wouldn't go there. But, there are a full spectrum that some products are better as a powder or can't be put into a capsule because the volume that you would have, the capsule would be huge and you couldn't swallow it. So I don't think one formulation over another necessarily, as long as the integrity of the vitamin or the mineral or supplement is intact in that formulation, it doesn't really have one way over better than the other. As long as you can swallow it. That's the key thing. Make sure you can swallow it.
Yeah, right. So when you think of getting sick or being around someone sick, are there any recommendations to help prevent getting, full-blown cold or a virus?
So yeah, this is something to really pay attention to these days. I mean, I don't think we need to review tonight, like the importance of hand washing and the importance of taking care of yourself, obviously, but when you're sick, you've been exposed, or you're starting to feel that run down, not myself, and nobody knows yourself better than yourself. And so, that moment when you're like, I think I'm getting a cold, I think I'm getting something, whatever it may be. And that's where, I kind of pick up those are where you might want to increase your supplements temporarily more so than you normally do. So like if you're taking vitamin C, a regular, 500 milligrams a day, maybe short term taking 1,000 milligrams to help fight off that viral infection. Or if you're taking a HEC as part of your nutritional foundation for immune support, and you're taking like the average dose is 1 to 1.5 grams a day, maybe if you feel something coming on, you increase it to 3 to try to really fight off whatever is virus or bacterial infection you maybe were recently exposed to. Maybe you feel fine, but you walk into your home or you walk into a party and everyone's coughing and sneezing and you feel fine, but you've just been exposed. That's another time where I might just step up the nutritional supplements to fight off from getting sick. I work, in a cancer center and in the hospital with pediatric patients. So I am always super worried that, I don't want to myself fight off the infection, but transmit it. So being in that carrier that you've heard a lot of us talking about, why everyone has to be careful is you can carry a virus or bacterial infection and you don't get sick, but the people around you do. So you want to kind of take those nutritional supplements if you've been exposed to help carry it out of your system too.
Yeah, so I imagine you don't get sick that often because even though you're around it, you're really careful.
I'm very careful, and I have 2 kiddos at home and a husband that all our whole household stays really healthy most of the time because we're paying attention to all those pieces of the puzzle and definitely taking our supplements, eating well, getting sleep, and exercising.
Yeah, that's terrific. Are there any other further tips that you can offer?
So kind of circling back to what we talked about earlier, don't forget your sleep. I think everyone feels it as an expendable resource that, I can drink caffeine to counteract it and be awake the next day if I just have that extra energy drink or caffeine source. But you also, it's a double-edged sword is when you don't sleep, you also increase your appetite. And so not only are you decreasing that cell repair that will contribute to obesity, you're also increasing your body's need to eat more to stay awake. And so you're adding more calories to your day. So you're really putting yourself behind the 8 ball if weight management and just staying at that healthy BMI that we all want for health and wellness. So I think people discount sleep a little too easily as it's not all that important. And so we want to make sure you're doing that, and then just making sure you're paying attention to what you're eating. And it's okay to cheat now and then, but every day shouldn't be a cheat day.
Right.
A lot of people like justify, well, tomorrow or because I'm on quarantine and I'm home, and kind of really, I take the philosophy is I just don't even purchase the things in my house.
That's good, yeah.
In my house, then I can't really cheat without exerting true effort. And by the time, sometimes I'm like, I'm not going to go all the way to the store just for that. And so it easily goes out of mind. And so that saying out of sight, out of mind really does come in helpful when it comes to the things that you maybe just save for when you're out to eat or you're out and about as a treat instead of having it in the house. And that's good for kids too, because that teaches them good eating habits.
That's what I was just going to ask you with your kids. How do you, what's the recommendation in terms of giving kids vitamins, what age and those types of things?
So the kids, I think they need more vitamin supplementation sometimes because they're such horrible eaters. They don't like the way something looks. They don't like the smell. So multivitamins for kids. My kids are on omega-3s as well. It makes them smarter. And if you ever meet my children, completely objective. They're very smart and witty, and having that extra mental focus helps.
Wow.
Calcium supplementation is really important in the youth, like kids and growing, and protein intake. And sometimes they can't get all the protein from their diet. So if you want to complement that with, some of the protein shakes or protein bars that are out there, they're really gearing a whole market now. Low sugar, because you have to watch the sugar and carbs in those protein products sometimes, especially when they're geared for kids, because you don't want to give them a bunch of sugar in the process. But there's some really good products out there now that my son plays lacrosse, so we've really kind of been encouraging if they're athletic, doing dance, although a lot of people don't consider dance a sport, but that can really take a lot out of their muscles. Swim, all those sports, that activities they're doing, or even if they're not in a formal sport, but they're just out running around and playing, hopefully, that extra protein helps their muscles and their repair after exercising. So that's good for adults and for kids, but it's a good thing to start teaching them early so that the way they can practice that a lifelong.
I'm still like a kid, and you mentioned that they'll look at certain food and they don't like how it looks or it smells. I'm still like that.
Me too. I'm a little bit of a picky eater myself, so I can't pull the kettle black on that one. So
I always say to people, I'll go anywhere as long as there's bread and salad. I'll be okay.
It's like, I need all the fancy stuff. I'm a much more simple girl myself, but
yeah. Well, I really want to thank you for being on the show, and I'm sure this was so much, so informative and terrific, and I'm sure many of the viewers, are going to want to get in touch with you. So I'm going to put up the banner, and this is where you can get in touch with Dr. Smith. If you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, you can reach Dr. Smith, judith.ann.smith@uth.tmc.edu. And again, thank you so much, and make sure you share this with everyone on all the social media platforms, and it's going to be put into a YouTube link. So we're really excited, and thank you so much again for coming on and for giving us all this wonderful information and tips.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity anytime to talk about health and wellness. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Thank you.
Okay. All right, bye-bye.
Are you ready to share your message in a bigger way? Join the Video Influencer Bootcamp, where you will graduate with 5 ready-to-rock videos. Visit bootcamp.wellworld.tv.